Welcome back to Let's Talk Social. Today we are going to be talking about how many times you should be posting on social media and specifically for each platform that does matter. And we're going to go over a article and then a couple actual social media accounts that are really big ones, the corporate giants out there, see what they're kind of up to, and then kind of talk about some strategies and takeaways from all of the information that we learned. One thing I want to point out before we hop into all of this is that this is the organic side of social media, not the paid. So this is about half of the puzzle that your business really needs to figure out when it comes to marketing and growing through social media practices. The organic is everything that is basically not paid and promoted through a paid avenue. Even if you bought the photos from a photographer or paid for a video shoot, any of that stuff, anything organically posted and how it organically performs without paid is called organic. So we're going to read a little article. This is actually from Hootsuite, and they quoted the founder of the Instagram's creators account. So I don't know if you guys have seen that on Instagram, but they have a creators account and they do a thing called Creators Week. And the Instagram chief over there is Adam Mosseri, and he went over some pretty interesting things for businesses, but to give you just some clean cut stuff for each platform so you don't have to listen to all the intricate little things about it. For Instagram, they recommended posting 3 to 7 times per week, and that will be with just the actual post. I'll go over stories too. On Facebook, they said 1 to 2 times per day, so that's 7 to 14 times per week, about double Instagram. Twitter, they said you can do up to 5 tweets per day if you want. And LinkedIn, same thing there, 1 to 5 times a day, which is actually higher than I would have anticipated. That's a lot of content to create. So with Instagram specifically, he kind of went over how for stories and posting, he was basically said that getting a post every day and a half to the feed, which is a weird number to use. It's hard to think in days and a half, but roughly, 3 times per week is seemingly the sweet spot for the organic engagement. And then he had said for the stories, getting 2 to 3 per week at minimum would be great there. And that is for Instagram. And he had put on here, which is just things for us to keep in mind when we're going through Instagram, is that there are 500 million stories being viewed every single day from people, and the platform gets 3.5 billion visits every single day, and the users on average spend 30 minutes. So there's not a ton of attention to be taken up there when people are only spending 30 minutes a day on Instagram. If you listen to the episode a couple episodes ago, we talked about TikTok and the average time that people spend on TikTok, which is 120 minutes a day, almost 2 hours. I think it was actually 110, which is just insane. But with Instagram being only 30, there's less people spending time on the app, and that means that you basically don't need to be posting as much. For Facebook, it's a little bit higher. It says that daily following for Facebook should basically grow almost 4 times faster just by posting less, which is pretty crazy. And I think that this is like one of the number one things that not only my clients, but just prospecting businesses with me when I talk to them, they will go over how many times they're posting and the engagement on the post. And the story I hear every single time is, I have 5,000 followers on the page and I only get 10 likes on every post. What am I doing wrong? And then I go on there and there's a post at 9 a.m., a post at 12, a post at 5, 3 posts the next day, 2 posts the next day. They're typically creating 15 to 30 posts per week, sometimes even per month, and that's too much, just because you don't even have enough people underneath your following for that to be served to. And it's a little liquid, or the lines are a little blurry when you get to Instagram Reels. And the reasoning just for that is because the algorithm for Instagram is massively trying to compete with TikTok right now. So they're actually giving more engagement on Reels than they, I think, do for Post or even IGTV. So I've had good success with the Reels lately. Still experimenting with that. I'll bring back some hardcore data there. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is, what do the big guys do? The corporate giants out there, what are they doing on social media? They clearly have to know something if they're paying hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing and PR, right? Right? And before we get into that, we're going to go over our sponsor this week, and it is actually Shopify. I have been partnered with Shopify since 2019. I do genuinely love the platform. especially if you're doing anything e-commerce. I also like the point of sale system that they have. I was pumped when we got the Shopify partnership back then, just because we get special discounts for our clients and we get early access to special features that are rolled out with Shopify, so we can actually test those on our clients' website. So we're a little bit ahead of the curve there. And again, they have the point of sale system in store. So if you guys are interested in anything Shopify related, even if you don't want to just go and test out a trial, use our link in the description and you guys can get started today. Now, for the corporate giants, Forever 21 is the first one I wanted to go over. I was just thinking before I even went on Instagram, who's like kind of hip and trendy and fun, like in my head should have a good social media following and engagement. And so I went to a couple places that I think of in the mall, right? And Forever 21 is, I think, an appropriate mix. It's not really a good mix between male and female, but even with it leaning more towards women, you would think that the Instagram engagement would be higher because there are more female users on Instagram. So Forever 21 has 14.4 million followers on Instagram, and they post 20 times per week on average. On those posts, they're getting roughly 3,000 likes on average. So that is a whopping 0.0002% engagement. And that's Forever 21. I really was bummed about that. I thought that they would have had some better engagement there. And I went through the stuff. I mean, the media is professional. They're doing real photo shoots. I mean, they're not only spending the money on the actual photo shoots and video shoots and all of that, but then they're with the pure purpose of posting it to Instagram, but then they're posting it and it's not getting more than even like 0.5% of engagement. So I don't know how much of their followers are fake and real and all that, because the bots, whether they bought them or not, will just consume some of those bigger accounts by the millions because they want all the other people on the list. So anyways, 0.0002%. 3 zeros before the 2. So that's how we're going to track, is how many zeros are before them. The next one we're going to go over is Coca-Cola. They have 2.8 million followers, so, about a fifth. And they are only posting on average 1 time per week, so 20 times less. And get this, their average likes per post is 45,000 likes on each post, which is on average 0.016%, which is 80 times more engagement than Forever 21's putting in. And this is Coca-Cola, not as sexy of a brand. There's not as many creative avenues that they can really exhaust at this point in time. Like, they're probably spending less, if not the same. I don't know, they could be spending more on the actual marketing efforts behind social media and everything, but obviously they're doing better because they're getting 80 times the engagement. And so I think that might be something to learn. It's starting to build on a theory here that maybe posting less is better. And the last one we're going to look at is Facebook. Facebook has an Instagram account. It's called, I think it's like @FacebookApp. They have 4.2 million followers on Instagram. And I chose Facebook because I think it's an interesting business to choose for the reason that it is not a very sexy thing to market. So aesthetically, there's not a lot of things that you can really post on Instagram, like about Facebook itself. Most of it's probably like user features and that kind of thing, like featuring people on the platforms and like the things that they participate in. But I wanted to choose something that was like more of a software, because softwares in general are just harder to market and service-based businesses are just harder to market. So I chose Facebook, 4.2 million followers on Instagram. They do 8 posts per week. And on average, they're getting about 10,000 likes per post. Now, they had some that'll hit like 1 million, and then some that flop and do like 1,200. But for like the normal posts, it seemed like they were about 10,000 likes, which is 0.002% engagement. So still better than Forever 21 with the posting being down. But I think what we learned from those 3 pages just right there, and I've talked about this in other episodes, is when you're posting less, it just seems like in general the engagement goes up. And I think it's for a number of reasons. And I also I'm going to go over those here in a second, but I just want you to remember, these are the corporate giants of America. They are literally spending hundreds of millions of dollars, and some of these people still aren't like cracking the code. So everybody thinks about this wrongly, and that's why I wanted to make this episode. I get asked about it all the time. So what we need to remember when we go into posting for social media accounts is that different platforms require different amounts of posts. We talked about that a little bit earlier. But one thing I also want to go over is it's not just the size of your page that necessarily predicates like how often you should be posting, because those of you with big companies that have large product catalogs or like ever-changing SKUs, you're just going to have to post more just to even make your following aware of the products. But something that everyone forgets is that posting can be in the form of a story, and you can post stories about the same thing a couple times throughout the week if you just spread them out, and it never hits the feed, and it doesn't have to have such a put together effort. And when you start to reel back, which we've done this for numerous accounts that we manage, we'll take them over and like immediately cut posting frequency in half, and then the engagement goes up by like 30%. And I think a lot of what that has to do with as well, and I know I'm all over the place with this thought, but a lot of what that has to do with as well is the actual quality of the post. And if you imagine having an employee and you tell them, hey, I need, one post per week, versus telling them I need a post every single day, the anxiety and the stress inside of the employee's head not only just immediately spikes, but then they're doing all these other things as well. The actual effort put into the post probably declines because they have less time to do more. So when you have, say, the same 10 hours per week making posts, when you're doing less posts, that means you have more time and more thought and more intention to give to the posts that are being posted less frequently. So apart from the people with giant product catalogs or the people that are like changing services all the time and have to be adaptable, I think for the most part, lowering on Instagram would be like one of the number one recommendations I give to small businesses, small and medium businesses. And for Facebook, I would say unless you're already at a pretty good frequency, you need to get up to what that article was talking about, which was saying like anywhere between 1 and 2 times a day. So that's going to obviously impact how the posting happens as well. The cool thing is Facebook does have a little bit better of a delivery. They have more delivery options, I guess, whereas Instagram has 4. You can post Reel, IGTV, or Story. That's like generally the main 4 options. Whereas on Facebook, you can do photo carousel, which I know you can do that on Instagram as well. Or you can just do like plain text, right? So you can ask questions, or you can go into your group if you have a group inside of your page and count that as your post for the day because you're still speaking for the business on the business's behalf. So starting to talk in circles here. I always do this toward the end of the episodes, but that is for the most part everything I wanted to go over. Remembering that organic is literally half of the equation for your social media success, and paid is the other half. We can help you out over there at Alpha if you guys need some help with that. Feel free to scrub around through some more episodes if you have not given any more a listen. If you didn't like this one, there's others in there that you may end up liking. They're all over the place. They're different lengths. And I cover a myriad of topics for social media stuff. So if you have topics that you would like me to speak on in the future or questions about this episode, drop them down on Instagram, on Facebook, and if you're watching this on YouTube, throw it down there in the comments and reach out to me. I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you for listening. Have a social day.